Last week was a very active week for the Elijah Wood case. On Monday, July 5th, an article in the Oconee Enterprise was released titled, "Unsolved RaceTrac Murder Still #1 Priority, Says Hale." In the article, Sheriff James Hale speaks briefly about Elijah's case, stating that Elijah's murder appears to be a botched armed robbery. He goes on to say that they are keeping some evidence confidential because only the suspect and deputies working the case know about said evidence. Then on Friday, July 9th, the Oconee County Sheriff's Department released an official statement of information on their Facebook page. In the release, Oconee sheriffs announced that the reward on Elijah's case had been boosted to $50,000. This is amazing. This will absolutely generate more tips and give people more incentive to come forward with information. Additionally, I was glad to see the Sheriff's Department finally respond to family, friends, and the public's request for more information about the description of the killer. In speaking with some of the family members and viewing their posts online on social media, I can sense the family's anger, anxiety, and frustrations. I believe this recent official statement that was released is an extremely good look for the Oconee Sheriff's Department, and I believe that this boost in the reward and release of information has certainly given Elijah's family and friends renewed hope that the Sheriff's Department will bring Elijah's killer to justice. In the newly released statement, Oconee sheriffs state that they and the FBI calculated the killer's height at 5'10" to 6 feet, and that the suspect appears to have an athletic build. I will agree to disagree with them on both of these claims. I went back to the drawing board after reading this release statement, and when I recalculated the height of the killer, it came out to around 5'5". Now that being said, the FBI have access to computer programs that help them determine the height of persons in surveillance footage. Civilians do not have access to these programs, so I do it the old-fashioned way through scaling. The manner in which I calculate the height of persons in photos is not precise, but it's very close, within a couple of inches close. We also have to take into account the killer is wearing shoes that have about a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch lift on them, as well as a hoodie that is slightly popped up a bit. Offsetting this is the fact that the camera that is capturing the suspect as he walks in the door is looking down on him from a downward angle, which makes the killer appear slightly shorter than what he actually is. But knowing this, we can adjust the height range slightly to account for this angle, which I have done, and I still arrived at 5'6" and under. Regarding the athletic build statement, as I stated in my detailed analysis video, the killer appears to be wearing a padded suit or muscle suit underneath the windbreaker hoodie. And I believe this because you can see the padding protrude from underneath the outfit at certain times in the video. And there are points in the footage where you can see the padding shift from side to side as the killer is walking. The killer could be using something as silly as this Incredible Hulk muscle suit to disguise his true build, or he could be using body armor that is worn by motorcycle riders. I do believe that the killer is certainly athletic, and he has probably played in a variety of sports, but his build is not textbook athletic, as athletic builds tend to be muscular. From what I can tell in the surveillance footage, the killer appears to be on the skinny side. With that being said, these are professional investigators, so it's probably best to follow their lead. A few nights ago, I was going through the surveillance footage from the Express car wash again, and I captured this photo of the vehicle of interest right before they turn right onto Hog Mountain Road. In this photo, you can see what appears to be an indentation on the side of the vehicle. This indentation does match up with the indentation that you see on a 2015 to 2021 Dodge Charger. Additionally, I enhanced a photo of the vehicle of interest using a new AI enhancement program. Here is the result. I went back over the footage last night and I noticed one small detail that I'd overlooked before. The sunglass rack. There is a sunglass rack that is just below the monitor. I zoomed in to see if I could see anything in the reflection of the sunglasses after the killer went off camera. The first thing I noticed is that in frame 685, which is the same frame where you see the muzzle flash of the gun, the sunglasses on the rack shift slightly from the reverberation of the gunshot, thus verifying that this is the moment that the killer shot Elijah. Secondly, I am able to see the killer from his chest down, as well as the lower half of the counter in the reflection of the sunglasses. I cannot see Elijah or anything that goes on above the counter. Keep in mind, what you are seeing is not in real time. Unfortunately, you will not be able to view this with as much clarity as I have on my end, but you should be able to see a dark object moving across the sunglass lenses. That is the killer. From what I can see, after the killer goes off camera, he approaches the front of the counter. He does not attempt to go behind the counter or climb over the counter. When he comes back the second time, he does not return to where he was standing at the counter before. Instead, he goes off to the right side of the counter for a few seconds and then runs out of the store. Here is an image showing you where the killer is located at the counter both times. The next update that I have for you all is that I have spoken with the professional sketch artist who I work with on the Terry Beavers case. He's reviewed the photos I have captured and enhanced from the surveillance footage at the RaceTrac gas station, and he is confident he can create a sketch of the killer based off of these images. I hope to have that photo uploaded by the end of the month. Moving on, I want to reply to some of the comments I have received on my Elijah Wood detailed analysis video. Some viewers brought up some excellent points and asked some excellent questions. I received several comments from people regarding the suspect's skin tone. Many wanted to know the specific race of the suspect. I think it's more important to focus in on the actual skin tone of the suspect rather than trying to decipher their race. This suspect to me appears to be biracial, and if we categorize them as being a specific race, it could allow him to avoid being properly identified. So I went in using Photoshop and I took 4 samples from various parts of the killer's face. The small white circle is where the suspect's skin tone falls on this color spectrum. I took these samples from the original unaltered photo that was released by law enforcement. The 4 sample areas had different lighting, so in looking at these samples, I think we can get a pretty good idea of what the skin tone of the suspect is. As I stated in my detailed analysis video, the killer's skin tone appears to be on the spectrum of tan to light brown. The next comment comes from Mark Jones, who says, "The Dodge Charger is spot on." Yeah, I agree, Mark. I've looked at countless taillights over the last few weeks, from the 70s all the way to the early 2000s, and I came up completely empty-handed. When Honeybee and Octavarium posted the Dodge Charger information, I knew immediately upon looking at the taillights that this was the most probable answer. Now that being said, we don't know if this Dodge Charger was owned by the killer or his accomplices. It's totally possible that they stole this vehicle or rented this car specifically for this targeted murder/botched robbery. Anton Farquhar asks, was the firearm a revolver or an automatic? If automatic, he may have returned to retrieve the shell casing. From what I can tell, I believe this is a 9mm. Therefore, a bullet casing should have been ejected. It is quite possible that the killer did return to the counter to retrieve the bullet casing. That's a great point. Another thing I want to point out is that the gun appears to have a laser sight attached to the front of the gun. DJ Coma, one of my OG subscribers, commented that the battle gloves appear to be the Vegas gold-black color. Yes, this is the brand and color of the gloves that the killer is wearing. These are the gloves that the Oconee Sheriff's Department posted on the new wanted poster. In another post, DJ asked if it's possible that the walkie-talkie might be a cell phone. It is definitely not a cell phone. The reason I say this is because law enforcement did a cell phone data search on the nearby area surrounding the RaceTrac gas station for that night, and they didn't find anything of value. Getting these cell tower data dumps are a common technique used by law enforcement, which most criminals are aware of, and thus know not to bring cell phones with them when committing a crime. Using this walkie-talkie allowed Elijah's killer and his accomplices to go undetected by the police while staying in communication with one another. Additionally, I don't know of any modern cell phones that have an antenna like you see in the surveillance footage. Anna Epps commented, "So the gloves. I don't think they would have purchased something so specific and expensive. I'm betting they already had them." Alright, first, these gloves are expensive. They sell for $43 to $63 depending on size. But we don't know that the killer actually bought these gloves. It's just as likely that they stole them. As far as whether the killer had the clothing already, the thing about the clothing is that it all appears to be brand new from head to toe. I'm not seeing any wear and tear, dog and cat hairs, stains, etc. Therefore, it's my belief that everything the killer is wearing was stolen or bought in the hours or days leading up to Elijah's murder. Rebecca Shields asks, what are the cords flapping around near his pockets? I've magnified and slowed down the footage here to help us see what you are talking about a little bit better, and it appears that these are the drawstrings from the sweatpants that the killer is wearing. Kimberly Davis posted the following comment, There is no longer an Athens High. It is now called Clark Central High. Thank you very much for that information, Kimberly. Clark Central High is a school located 12 minutes north of the RaceTrac gas station where Elijah was murdered. James Tripp Lemons, Elijah's brother-in-law, posted a photo on Facebook of a football player at Clark Central High School just recently. In the photo James posted on Facebook, you can see a Clark Central High School football player wearing the exact same gloves worn by the killer. Now, no one is accusing this specific player of being involved in the murder, but what it does reveal to us is that these gold and black battle gloves are being sold in this area and are being worn by some football players who attend Clark Central High School. If any of my viewers have access to Clark Central High School's yearbooks, please take some time and go through those and see if you might notice anyone in those yearbooks that closely resembles the killer. Or get in touch with James on the Facebook page that they have set up for Elijah, which is Family and Friends of #JusticeForElijah, and see about giving him access to those yearbooks. If you have any information about this case, please call the Oconee County Sheriff's Office at 706-769-3945 or contact me at arrinstoner@yahoo.com. You can remain completely anonymous. Thank you so much for checking out this update on the Elijah Wood case. If you enjoyed this content, drop me a like and subscribe for future videos covering the Stephen Kosher case as well as other cases from time to time.